outside in an all black drop. 10 rolled up when I'm out. Say they all wanna live, but I just want.
Hello guys, and welcome to another Between the Series video. In the previous one, by the way, we covered in details the buffs. We talked about which buff is the best and which buff is the worst, and we provided detailed explanation on that. However, in this episode we're going to be covering the debuffs, again starting from the best debuffs, proceeding to the worst debuffs in the end. So, without further ado guys, let's start right now. One disadvantage of all the buffs, not all of them but most of them, is that their effect can be blocked as well as the damage. When it comes to buffs, you can only block the damage, but the buff effect will be applied to a character. However, this is not the situations with the debuffs, where at some points the enemy character can not only block the damage but also block the debuff effect, which basically means that the debuff, the whole special attack, has been totally useless and you have wasted just 1 or 2 bars of power. However, when it comes to debuffs, it was even harder telling which one is the best debuff. So I put not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 debuffs on number 1, because all of them can be very good at some situations and not that good in other situations. In general, they are fine, very nice debuffs, but it was impossible for me to tell you which one is the best of them. So let's start with the first one, and the first one should be Frostbite. Frostbite is a very interesting ability. It actually reduces the speed of the opponent, also it power drains the opponent. So it has 2 debuffs in one. However, the power drain is not instant, it's happening over time, as you can see now. And also interesting thing about the Frostbite is that even if a character dies, the Frostbite is transferred automatically to the other one. As you can see, currently I'm fighting Dark Empress Kitana. Kitana dies to my Tribox Special 1 and the Frostbite is immediately transferred to the Kung Lao. And this is really useful. I won't say that this is happening to any other debuff in the game. So for this reason only, I believe that Frostbite deserves spot number 1. And of course, Frostbite cannot be blocked. Even if the opponent blocks the attack, the Frostbite will be applied to him. The next really good debuff is Cripple. What Cripple does is that denies the character from the ability to use his special attacks for a specific period of time. However, you have to know that you cannot cripple an X-ray. You can cripple Special 1, Special 2. In general, if you have a cripple on Special 2, you cannot cripple an X-ray, so that the opponent will be always able to use his X-ray or Fatal Blow. Of course, cripple can be blocked. You should bear that in mind. Most of the characters have cripple on Special 2, with some exceptions. There are characters that actually have it on Special 1, such as Baron, Bounty Hunter Armblock. Sorry, that was a character that has a cripple on Special 1. Power Drain is the next debuff that deserves number 1. What Power Drain does is self-explanatory. It drains power from the enemy character. However, you have to keep in mind that Power Drain can be partially blocked. As you can see, currently I'm fighting Jade. I am using Special 1 on my Johnny Cage, which has debuff Power Drain, and Jade is blocking, so I can still apply some Power Drain to my Jade, but you can see the effect is very small. If she wasn't blocking, the effect will be much higher. So in general, Power Drain is a very good debuff. It is usually on Special 1, and basically you can find it for almost all Johnny Cages, Kenshis, Kitanas. Very nice overall debuff. Just keep in mind that Power Drain can be blocked, and if blocked, then the actual power that is drained is not that much. And the next and the last debuff, which I believe should be on place 1, is Snare. That is an extremely useful debuff. What it does is that it stops an enemy from tagging out for a period of time. What that means is that you can finish your opponents one by one. However, just keep in mind that if you have snared the enemy and the enemy has characters like Spec Ops Scorpion, which saves a teammate, the snare won't help you. And in general, another interesting thing about snare is that it can be blocked completely, which means that if you try to snare an opponent but the opponent is blocking, then the debuff won't be applied and he won't be snared. Okay guys, so we covered the first 4 best debuffs in MK Mobile, so let's go to spot number 2. And to be honest, again I had huge difficulties trying to rank them, so in the end I had to put them all on spot number 2. Yes, I'm talking about not 1 again, not 2, but 3 debuffs. They are all in my opinion great and they all deserve the second spot. The first one should be Fire. Fire basically is a regular damage over time ability, however it has something extra, and this something is that Fire drains power over time. Not only that, but once the enemy tags out, Fire continuously deals damage, as you can see. The next debuff that should be on second spot with Fire is Poison. Poison deals damage over time again, the same as Fire. Poison can deal damage even if the opponent character is tagged out, but Poison has another great thing, and it is that it stops regeneration. Currently my Ravenous Melina is poisoned and she's trying to use Special 2. She actually uses Special 2, but as you can see right now, with no success, because she's poisoned and the poison prevents regeneration from happening. Not only that, but actually it can suppress already active regeneration, so having poison in the team is always beneficial. And the last debuff, which I believe should be ranked second, is Stun. Stun is a signature move for Scorpion. You can use Stun to chain your special attacks. Currently you're looking at a game where I'm stunning opponents time after time again, because once they're stunned they cannot do anything, so I continue hitting them until I get to another special one, and then I'm using it again and again, and you can get the picture. In the end of the day, you can use it to kill the opponent without he can do anything actually. The other useful thing when it comes to stun is that evading characters like Jade, Assassin, Kitana, Relentless Jason, they cannot evade if they're stunned. So once you stun them, you can do any special attack with them. And that is really important. Okay guys, so we are going to spot number 3. And on the third place, again, I couldn't decide which one is better. So again, I put 3 debuffs. The first one is Freeze. Freeze is the signature move of Sub-Zero. He's the only character in the game who has Freeze, and it works like stun. Once the opponent is frozen, he cannot do anything, so you can hit him and try to chain the abilities. However, there's an important thing about Freeze, and that is why I put stun in front of Freeze. And the reason for it is Freeze cannot really stop Jade or any other character that evades from evading your special attack. It's kinda weird, but even if Jade is frozen, if you try to use special attack on her, she can evade. And that's really annoying. The next ability, which I put on place 3 next to Freeze, is Bleed. Bleed is a simple damage over time effect. Again, a character can bleed even if he is tagged out, but unlike Fire and Poison, Bleed has nothing extra, just damage over time. You can imagine it as an additional damage to the original damage of the special ability, so nothing really out of the ordinary when it comes to Bleed. Of course, it's very useful against certain bosses, it's useful against Jade, and all other characters, but it deserves spotted third place because the other two damage over time effects have something extra. And the last debuff which I rank third is Shield Break. Shield Break decreases the opponent's defense, which actually on the other hand increases the damage you deal to him. In addition, it's very important because Shield Break cannot be blocked, so you can apply it anytime you want. As long as you use the special ability that has the debuff Shield Break, it will be applied. It works as if it is a buff. In general, this ability is very underrated, but I believe that it is an amazing debuff, and every time when I see a Shield Break in a character, I'm trying to use it, because not only it increases the damage you're dealing with special attacks, but increasing the damage with your basic attacks. And even if you don't have any power left after you perform Shield Break, you can tag out and another character can tag in and finish the job, because the Shield Break debuff will be applied to the enemy character. So we reached number 4, and this spot is occupied solely by Weaken, another very underrated debuff in my opinion. Please pay attention to the damage my Scorpion is dealing to this Kitana, and she's doing her special attack on me. Now I have Weaken, and please again look at the damage he's doing to her now. See the difference? In general, Weaken is a very good debuff. Another positive thing about it is that it cannot be blocked. In general, pretty cool ability to have a special attack. However, it's not as good as all the others which existed before. Okay guys, so we reached a very important part of the video. It is important because all the other debuffs which will follow, in my opinion, are trash, and it's really a waste of special power. However, I had to rank them anyways, so on the second place I put 2 debuffs, and they are Slow and Blind. So they're very similar debuffs, but let's start with Slow. What Slow does is it slows the basic attack and the movement of the opposing character, which more or less has to affect the basic attack damage, because they're very slow and they cannot really swing, and by the time they swing you hit them and they cannot complete their basic attacks combination. However, the issue here is that if they have a lot of power, then you really don't care about their basic attacks, and that's the main issue with Slow. And by the way, that is the main issue with Blind. Blind is another ability which aims at hindering the opponent's basic attacks. Currently you're seeing I'm trying to hit the opponent, but I'm missing almost all the time. Not only I'm missing basic damage, but I'm missing to fill my special attack power. But in a situation, if the opponent character has special attack, this debuff is totally useless. So in general, I'm not quite sure whether those 2 debuffs are good. That is why they fall on the rank. The next debuff, which I believe is even worse than them, is Curse. Curse increases the damage taken by critical hits. Unfortunately, if you don't do critical hits while this debuff is active, this debuff is totally useless. And the thing is, I really prefer to have Luck instead of Curse. I mean Luck as a buff on my character, because I know the chance is very good. However, when the enemy character has Curse, I need to crit them so that I can benefit from this debuff. In general, pretty horrible debuff. And on the last spot is Fear. Guys, Fear can be useful in probably 2 or 3 situations in the game. Fear can be useful in a situation when the opponent has 2 bars of power. You're performing a special attack on him, but his Revenant is triggered, so he can perform his special attack too on you. However, because you have Fear, you fear him away and he cannot do that, and that's the only situation when you need to use Fear. The other one is if the opponent has for some reason X-ray, then you tag in and quickly fear him. That's still good, but that rather power drain him instead of fearing him. So I think that this debuff is the worst in the game. It is good only in few situations in the game. Outside of those situations which I already described, this ability is very bad. It actually benefits the enemy team, and in general doesn't give any value to you whatsoever. So we covered them all. Let's recap what we talked about. On the first place, when it comes to best debuffs in MK Mobile, we put Frostbite, which drains power and slows the enemy character. We used Cripple. Cripple is a very good debuff which stops the enemy from using special attacks. We put Snare, which says no to the enemy character when he's trying to tag out. And of course Power Drain, which drains power from the enemy character. On the second spot, we put Fire and Poison. Fire and deals damage over time and drains power slowly. Poison deals damage over time and stops regeneration or even prevents regeneration. And on the third spot, on this second place, we put Stun. Stun is a very good ability, allowing you to chain it over and over again. Not only that, but some characters that evade special attacks, such as Jade, cannot evade while stunned, so it's incredibly useful ability. On place number 3, guys, we put Freeze. It's similar like Stun, the only difference is that if Jade is frozen, she can still evade. Then we put Bleed. This is a simple damage over time effect, nothing special. And Shield Break, which decreases the defense of the opponent and increases the damage you deal to him, and Shield Break cannot be blocked. A very good debuff. On the fourth place, we put Weaken. It decreases the damage dealt both by basic attack and special attacks, again cannot be blocked. In general, pretty solid debuff. On the next spot, we put Slow and Blind. Both of these debuffs aim at hindering your basic attacks. However, they have this main flaw that if the enemy character has a lot of power, I mean, his basic attacks will be the last thing you have to worry about. On the last but one spot, guys, we put Curse. Curse is not that useful debuff, I'm sorry, because it relies on you performing critical hits on the opponent, and if you don't, then it's totally useless. And the worst debuff in MK Mobile, in my opinion, is Fear, which can be occasionally good only in a few situations in the game. Apart from that, it is even beneficial to the opponent team. Okay guys, I really hoped you found this video useful. By the way, if you search in the channel, you can now definitely find some clues on what's going on and what's following. Please guys, stay tuned for it. It will be very good, and I cannot wait to release those videos, to be honest. So I hope that I can see you around in the next couple of days when these videos will be released. Until then guys,